So if you can't, I would assume you want to come to the front. But if you are middle school, a parent of a middle school student, thank you. This is Hanny, by the way. Also works with CEF. He's our marketing coordinator, social media person. Okay, so let me just have this. Okay, that's strong. Okay, I'm going to put it here. All right, so again, this workshop is dedicated to parents of middle school students and our middle school students. Even our sixth graders, they've asked me if we can have a sixth grade, seventh grade. That's fine, you guys can join. It'll help you understand how to prep for college and high school, of course. So before I get started, my name is Sandy Gabriel. I'm the Assistant Director Counselor for the Coptic Educational Foundation. Who knows what the Coptic Educational Foundation is? CEF as well. That's the other way of saying it. Okay. So I'll tell you more about it in our slide. But before we get started, I want to also see how many people are in the room. So as far as our middle schoolers and what grade levels we have. So if you can just raise your hand if you are in sixth grade. Okay, seventh grade? Okay, and then eighth? Awesome. Ninth? All right, so we're middle school. Awesome. Okay, great. And of course, we do still help with our college students and our high school students. So if you guys have questions towards the end, I'd be more than happy to assist with that. Please, 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 if you haven't RSVP'd yet, go ahead and, I know it's too far, but if you had the flyer, it should have been on there as well. The QR code on the flyer will help you register. And once you do, it's going to add you to our database, and we will send you a few publications after today. This publication consists of, there's 5 different publications. We have one that is the Steps to College Success. So everything that we talk about college process, the requirements, the schools, is in that booklet. We have another booklet that's dedicated to list all our college in California, all the colleges listed, the private and the public, including their community colleges and the Ivy Leagues. We have another publication that includes the campus tours for the UCs, all the UCs, all in one handout. And then the last one being our pathways to college, so the different pathways to help you get to college. So please register so you can get those 5 publications. All right. So this is me and Catherine. These are the counselors for the foundation. Throughout the year, we do several services, so please reach out if you have questions just about really anything when it comes to the admissions process and all that. So the agenda for today, we're going to go over some of our CEF services so you at least know what we do. And then we go over the guide specifically for your middle school students. We want to go over what that looks like to be involved, so your extracurricular activities. Your success, what does that look like for a student in middle school, high school, to help them succeed? And then, of course, we'll talk about the pathways and the requirements for the admissions process. And lastly, we'll conclude with financial aid a little bit, just to give you an understanding of what financial aid is. And then lastly, the Q&A questions. And feel free to raise your hand if you have questions in the middle of it, just in case I miss it later on. All right, so for the middle school students, we focus on a couple things. This is one of them, the workshops that we do for middle school students. We also have our homework help service. We're trying to see if we're going to re-partner with that, but they do offer a different type of homework help and almost like a 24/7 service for you. And college counseling, as you know. And then for our high school students, we have a lot more that we offer as well, including workshops like these in the fall. We do college admission workshops, and we do one-on-one counseling. And our biggest service is our scholarship. Has anyone heard about our scholarship? Yes, awesome. So the scholarship, we have 3 different ones. One dedicated to high school students, one dedicated to our transfers, going from a community college to a 4-year, and then one dedicated to our grad students. And we just added another one in Egypt. It's called El Tafawuk, and we'll talk about that later. But I just wanted to give you kind of an overall idea of what we offer for high school students. And then we have our college students. We do a little bit more with them. One of them is that graduate scholarship that we're talking about. So we help them get a scholarship towards their grad school. And then we have our career exploration. So they're in college, we help them with their resume and whatnot. Again, I'm just giving you an overview of what CF does. So going into today's topic, these are some things that we wanted to give the parents an insight on when they are preparing for the high school and even college. My biggest thing when it comes from this slide, my biggest advice to you, if you haven't reviewed the high school profile just yet for the school that they're going to be attending, it'll be very, very important. Has anyone seen the high school profile of their school? Okay, so I guess let's take it back. What high school would most of you be going to in Irvine? I went to Woodbridge myself. So there's Woodbridge, there's Uni, anything else? What's up? Okay, so those 3 schools, I would look up their high school profile if you're eligible to attend to see what that looks like, because it will include, for example, their stats when it comes to how many AP classes they're offering, how many honors classes they're offering, what are their activities, what are their programs, college access programs, do they have the appropriate resources to help you succeed. Something called AVID is another program that most high schools have. You don't have to have AVID, but it is like a college access program. Another thing to know is the percentage of how many of those students actually get accepted into the UCs and the Cal States and the Ivy Leagues and whatnot, if it's important to you. The biggest thing for me when it comes to choosing the right school is being realistic with your students' performance and how they'll be performing in that high school. So for example, if I have a student who I know is high performing in middle school, they're awesome, they're very, very involved, and they're going to continue that way, I want them to be also the top 10% at their high school. If it's impossible to do that, it will be difficult for them to stand out in their high school. So keep that in mind as you are looking for a specific school. So these are some websites that we have for you. You can take them down. Again, we'll be sharing this, not this PowerPoint, but the publications will have this information. Again, the CaliforniaSchoolDashboard.org is a good website to pick or to look over. Another one is GreatSchools.org. And then, like I was telling you, the school profile. This will give you data on the school and kind of how they are within the district and represented across within the district, really. So again, within the school, just know the profile, the calendar, the test dates. Again, what activities are they offering? So for example, if your son is doing or daughter is doing some type of sport that they don't offer, they're not good at, that's a concern, right? You have a question? Yeah. Yeah. So actually, every website for the school has this profile. It's a PDF, really. They have to have one. So if you go to their website, they'll have it, yeah. And if you need help understanding the profile, you can reach out to us, and we can have a meeting with you. We can go over what that looks like. If you're comparing all 3 of them, for example, because you're looking at 3 high schools, we can help you with that as well. So like I was telling you, how many honors AP classes the school is offering, because we want a student to take as many of those as possible, right? So if they're not offering 10, okay, well then that's a resource they're not offering. What else can they offer? Sports is another big one. Any of the activities, if they don't have, and I'm telling you, Irvine is going to have them all. It's really about your student and how they're going to perform at that high school. A big one too is the counseling, one-on-one ratio. Like if they only have 1 counselor and there's like 300 students that they're supporting, that's not good. Again, this won't apply for Irvine because I feel like they're pretty good at supporting their students. I went to Woodbridge, so I know what that looks like. They have at least 6 or 7 counselors. But when you look at somewhere like LA or we go towards Santa Ana, that area, yes, it will definitely become less and less appealing, as you say. Okay. Funding is another thing. So how many of you are considering private versus public? Okay. Private, who wants to do private? Private, okay, and then public? Okay, cool. I went to public, as you know, Woodbridge. The funding is going to be important. The one-on-one support between the counselor, the teachers, even like the student-professor ratio is going to be important as well, how small the classes are. The admission process, too, that's going to be another big part. You're not applying just, with, hey, this is where we want to go, this is the school that we chose. You're actually going to be applying for admission, just like a college process. And so that's another thing to see what requirements they're going to require from your student, whether it's academically or non-academic requirements to get them into these type of schools. My biggest thing when it comes to, at least from my advice as a counselor, is talking to a parent, hey, are you choosing a public, are you choosing a private? To me, the four-year schools, the universities, they're going to want to see, again, that profile. They're comparing them to another student that went to a different public school with a different profile. So you're ultimately competing with those different profiles, not this name of the school, whether it was public or private. Obviously, the private will have a lot more individualized support. Again, it goes back to the private. Some privates don't have that, so you definitely need to do your research on some of those private schools. Another thing I would say too, from colleagues that I see, they don't see the genuine support that can come from from the public. Like the public seem to have more kind of like they'll go out of their way to do letters of recommendations, or we get a lot of students who ask for letters of rec because of the college application process. Or you have someone who needs to find a position, like an internship. They'll help you with that. I do feel like that's like one thing that's not written anywhere, that you'll see that the different experiences from a counselor's perspective. We do see that. Yeah. Yes, the public counselors, yeah. Again, this is my exposure to the counselors that I know, so it's a bit different than other districts, so it's a bit different. My biggest thing to you, if you guys really want to sit down with the counselor and understand the profiles, the options when it comes to public or private, let's sit down and talk, because it's not going to be this. What I'm telling you, it doesn't apply to one district. It's different. But I wanted to pitch that just so you guys know the approach could be different. So in general, as a parent, middle school students, how many of you feel like it's going to become an overwhelming process going into high school, at least from the student's perspective? Okay. Well, are we preparing ourselves academically? What are we doing now? Like, what are your time management skills? What are your plans outside of the school? Like, when you come back from home, what do we do? Screens, yeah, a lot of screens. And you continue doing more screens when you're an adult and you're working, right? But I want to challenge you to look into the rest of your day after school. Let's focus on after school. What does that look like? Can someone give me an idea or example of what you do after school, and then we'll kind of look into that? Who wants to volunteer? Go ahead. You want to?
Okay. So sometimes after school, I have a lot of homework, so I get that done, but sometimes I get distracted with my phone or other things. And then sometimes after school, I have like a game, or I have I'm going surfing after school, so that's what I do, but then I do homework after. But then towards the end of the day, I kind of watch like a show or something. Yeah. Yeah.
Decompress. That was not right. No. I'll go. Yeah. Do you wanna volunteer? Your dad, I think, volunteered you. Malish, he volunteered you. What do you do after school? Like after the 3 p.m. or the? Just say your schedule from the minute you get to the house.
Homework.
All homework? All 5, 6 hours? Okay, cool. I mean, hey, Hanny, you've trained them well, clearly. So I asked these questions. What was that? Sorry. So I asked those questions because it's important to time manage right now before you go into high school. It's going to be important for you to understand, okay, I can dedicate 2 hours here. I can only do an hour of social media here. Or I'm going to focus on doing research on this activity so I'm prepared. When I go to the high school, I'm going to do this activity. So just keep that in mind because these type of skills are going to help you when you go to college, especially when you have the freedom because you're not going to have the structure of 8 to 3 every day. You're going to have two to three classes a day and maybe twice a week. That's it. And then you'll be working. And then you might have internships or other stuff, right? So that's going to require a lot of time management skills at a young age. And it's nice that you're already involved now with some sports and some activities. That's great. One more thing on here. I think it's the next slide, yeah. That's just homework expectations. As far as like avoiding distractions, it says here, obviously when you're studying and understanding the material, you're also not just breezing through it. You want to also learn and apply it. For example, if I'm reading a paragraph, I like teaching myself. I'll say, okay, well, I didn't get this from reading it for the first time. Let me read it again and start teaching myself the material as if I'm the teacher. That sometimes helps kind of keep the information ingrained in your head and go on with the studying. Another habit I like doing, if you feel like it's overwhelming for you, like there's so much to do and so little time, this is again something I like doing, it's just a nice checklist or an organized something, a list of some sort. Or even your calendar, you can start making reminders for yourself. And that way, the minute you do something, you can check it off. I had another person who did this. They use flashcards. You could have all your tasks that you're doing, each flash card has a task, and then you could just have one and they crumble it up and they put it in the trash. That could be another way of you checking something off the list. But it's another way to give you that like satisfaction almost. How many of you use an actual like agenda? Because I feel like it's outdated now. Okay, good. Great. Any other types of ways of planning things or like jotting down things? Give me some examples. Yeah. Notepad, okay, yes. Planner? Mm-hmm. Oh, your progress. Okay. Sorry, the last part was what? Okay. Nice. So he was just saying how they have like a binder and a daily progress kind of report and then check off the things that they've done. So that's good. Maybe the school has that established for them, which is awesome. Again, look for those things with the counseling department if they have those organizational sheets of some sort. Yeah. In middle school? Okay. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's going to be important on the parent, honestly, because you have to add, if the middle school is not doing their job, you're going to have to find activities at home. I'll look into this to see if there's like already curriculum set up for that type of need. And I mean, my experience alone, my dad used to give me multiple tables, like all of them, and I would do them every single day, and that really helped. But that's probably not what your guys are learning now. I would say that I don't think they can enroll at a college or any type of school. Any type of like college access program, they start at middle school as well. Like AVID is a big one. I don't know if you've heard of it. Upper Brown is another one. But let me get back to you, and I'll tell Hanya about it. And I think I know who you are too. I'll get back to you on the curriculum for that. Okay. Oh, the school's policies. Obviously, this is when it comes to The negative aspects of it, obviously, if you're a student, you won't know, but if it does happen, you at least want to know the attendance policy, if there's cheating involved, any type of behavioral issues, you definitely want to know and be on top of that for your student. What was that? Yeah. Yeah, it is a topic of concern. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Kumon. Mm-hmm.
Generally have an advantage, or is it really not a differentiator?
I won't say it doesn't. It does. It does have an advantage because you're doing something outside of the classroom. You're challenging the brain to keep thinking and to keep going, you know. There's nothing wrong with that. I think when I did Kumon myself and we tried doing it with my brother, I didn't feel like it was a lot of repetitive work. It goes back to the need of your student. What are their weaknesses? Yani, if the English is great, مثلا, okay, give them a lot of books. If you feel like they are good with the arts and they're creative, okay, well, let's explore that. Let's do some projects, like it's hand-on work. You want to give them things, projects outside of the classroom, but you don't have to do Kumon. You really don't. Give me an example. Give me an example, and I'll tell you a solution. Like, what would be a problem what you guys are facing besides math? Do they read? Yeah, reading is important. That's huge for vocab building. Interviews, TED Talks, podcasts, that really exposes them to a lot of vocab and they're able to speak comfortably with other folks. So those 3 things, I think, if I was a parent, I would do those. I love TED Talks. Yeah.
What about something like time management and study habits?
Yeah?
For college? Like how do we teach them that?
Okay, so we were talking about how you set up some type of agenda, a weekly agenda, some type of, okay, after dinner, I'm doing this every day. I'm dedicating an hour for this. There's something called SMART goals. If you create it where I think I have it on one of the slides talks about SMART goals, but you really sit down with your child and say, okay, what are the goals that you want to accomplish this year? I'll come to it. And we look into the SMART goals. So the SMART goals keeps it specific, keeps it measurable and realistic. The acronym, I have to spell it out for you, but it gives them something to look forward to. So if I already know I have an academic goal, I have a personal goal, and I have maybe some type of career goal, gives me some type of motivation. Okay, I'm looking forward to this specific thing. Someone's keeping me accountable. So if you and the child do it together, that will help kind of, they'll embrace the process, you know? And then if you find that your child is not in any of that mindset, they're not ready for that, don't force it either. I did that with my brother, and I don't want to do that. I want it to be something that's intrinsically motivating them, right? So if it comes down to speaking to a counselor, like me or Catherine, right? Hey, let's just talk. What are your hobbies? So the things that brings you absolute joy. And then we dissect that. Okay, well, if it's playing basketball, well, what are you going to do to refine that skill? Are you going to be an MBA? Oh, no. Okay, that's not a goal. I just want to play for fun. So figure out things that they truly love, and then make those goals. All right. So here's the SMART goals towards the bottom there. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. If you can come up with those goals, I promise you, there will be a reward after. And you can weigh it, you could do it in a way with like excitement, you know? Let's say the end of this month, if you accomplish this goal, we'll go to Disney. I know that's a bit expensive, but something in that sense. Or like, I'll get your favorite, I don't know, whatever they wanted. So that will give them an idea, okay. And be careful with the rewards too, because you don't want to train them. Everything I do, every time I do something or I accomplish a goal, I'm going to get something from my mom and dad. No, it's the idea of I'm motivated by accomplish this goal, I can I can be able to get this. So actually put it on them. For example, if they want a toy, or not a toy, I don't know, what would you want right now? What kind of, what is it? Boba? Come on, that's really that's like less than $10. Okay, fine. If you want boba, we're gonna go boba. Sorry, guys. Sorry, but y'all. Boba is, okay, so let's say you want boba. You can get it any day, but I guess maybe you guys have your rules. That's fine. Let's say the end of this month, we're gonna get boba as a family. Nice little field trip, I guess. So make that an attainable goal for them. I'm going to get boba, but if I get this done, right? So I don't know. I guess you could, yeah. I can't hear you. Screen time. Oh, so do you incentivize them with screen time? I like that. Okay, that's good. Yeah. PC, like a PC? Okay, cool. Yeah? Lego. Yeah, that's a good point. Yes, it does. I've seen folks do this too, like students, to help them think and just clear their head sometimes if they're so overwhelmed. They could do like Legos or something called, Gundams, the little things. I mean, it's not for everyone. Or they could do puzzles, or they could draw, or they could even do like an audio recording of something that they're truly passionate about. Sorry, we deviated from your question, but what was how to incentivize them. So yeah, I wouldn't base it off of just like always giving them reward. I would try to do it where, okay, you came up with this goal, you accomplished this goal, what do you want to do about it? It gives them also a sense of autonomy too. Okay, I'm almost done with this part because I want to focus also about the college admission process and the pathways and what options you have. The biggest thing right now with the college admission process, as many of you know, the SAT and ACT requirement, those were exams that they were like standardized tests, they were eliminated completely from the admissions process. So that puts an emphasis on the other aspects of the application. For example, we have your personal statements, we have your potentially a resume if you submit that for at least for the privates. You have your transcripts and the honors and AP classes that you've taken, and the biggest part is your extracurricular activities. I will not emphasize that, like it's the heaviest thing right now that they're looking at. They want to see the leader that comes out of this activity or this journey. They want to see a true leader. That's what it comes down to. So if your your kid is not involved in some type of sport, art, any type of leadership, like scouts and work, like they're doing an internship maybe. I know all these seem a bit far from now because you're still in middle school, but try your best to find something that you truly, truly love, and it will continue on through high school. So if it's a sport, like I think someone here plays, just heard someone say something, surfing, water polo, yeah. So if that's something that you truly love, do you want to do that in high school? Okay, and where are you right now, your position, like in water polo? You're a goalie? Awesome. So what would be your goal, ultimate goal? Goalie, get it? Ultimate goal. To get to your team's what? A-team. Okay, so I'm not familiar with the terminology, but I'm assuming that's the highest? Okay. And how realistic is that? Very, okay. Are you every day practicing? And you have a coach? Good. See, I asked these questions so he knows that this is definitely attainable. It's something that he's truly going to be motivated by because he can get there. I have one question and I have another one. Yeah. Meals? Music, of course. Nice. Very much, yes. Continue on. That's very unique too. I don't see a lot of people playing guitar, so I love that. Keep doing that. If it brings you true joy, that might be a potential topic that you write about in your personal statements. and explore why that brings you joy. What about playing an instrument? Okay. Do we have a question here? No. Okay. All right. I'm going to get into, these are some examples of how to be, to stand out in the admissions process. Obviously, we talked about leadership. Passion is also important, and the impact that you create out of that passion. So some of the examples on the board, you guys could look at them, but there's the social activism aspect of it, so you can create something that you're super passionate about, or a topic right now that we're working on. Maybe BLM is a big topic right now. If there's something that's of interest to you, you can start something at your high school or even in middle school and continue on in high school. It doesn't have to be at the school setting. There's Boys and Girls Club. There's also debate team. The debate team helps if anybody wants to look into, for example, law school in the future, you want to be a lawyer, anything that pertains to law, that might be a good setting to start off in the debate team. There's obviously the soccer aspect of it, like the sports, right? You have tennis, lacrosse, we have water polo here, so nice. Then there's the tech aspect of it. You could, if you're not into any of these positions, you could look into blogging or creating some type of social media, like a platform, maybe a TikTok or a podcast, or even like an audio of some sort. And then again, there's the volunteer, the regular volunteer, right, where you can do that outside of the school. For example, Red Cross is one of them. So keep that in mind as potential activities and really do your research, because there's so many of them. There's more here too on the slide. I like the resource called lynda.com. It's not on the slide, but it is something that we use at least at Pepperdine. So I didn't even mention where I work. But I work at Pepperdine University with their psychology school of psychology. But what we do there is we have staff that use lynda.com, and they have a lot of different topics on there, different tutorials and trainings that you could do to learn more about a specific topic. For if you don't know about Excel sheets, for example, very basic, you can go there and say how to work on Excel workbooks. And there, they'll show you like a 10-minute video. And that could be something that, for your student, it'd be an educational thing. If they want screen time, great. You can have all the screen time you want, but please help it become educational. Yeah? Yeah. They could definitely speak about it. If it was something of passion and explore that further, sure. They can also put that on their resume as like a professional development. Or, yeah, I guess it would be professional development. Good question, though. So these are I was just talking about these, but we just put them all on one slide for you, as far as the things that they can look into outside of the school. Okay, so how do we prepare academically for high school now? We talked about how to kind of get into the habit of managing your time, having great study skills, finding your passion, how to look into getting involved. But now we really want to look into some type of 4-year plan for high school, right? So this is just a basic summary of what you should look into per year, right? So starting freshman year, you definitely want to meet with your counselor. That's the best advice you can do is meet with the counselor who's going to help support your child, and create some type of academic plan. Do we want to take honors classes? Do we want to take AP classes? Do we want to go to a community college to take some classes? Do they have dual enrollment? What career tracks do they have? Sometimes they have pathways that the student can be part of since freshman year. It could be STEM related. We have students who are part of some type of community, academic community. They could start as a freshman. 10th grade, it gets a bit more serious when it comes to grades, because freshman year, they don't count for the college admission purposes. They don't count your GPA as a freshman. They start from 10th grade all the way to 12th. So 10th through 12th is really what's going to be important for them to do and excel academically. When it comes to now 10th and forward, that is the years that they're going to be very involved, like heavily involved with extracurricular activities, taking at least 1 to 2 AP classes if they can as a sophomore, and continue on excelling that way. The reason why I say to take at least 1 or 2, because we do see students who start that early. And if you're competing with those folks, we got to make sure you're the best of the best. Yeah. Sorry, I can't hear you. Go ahead. Basketball what?
Basketball and music.
Uh-huh.
What do we do if they're like?
If you have those 2 interests? You don't have to pick. You can do both. Yes, you're that. Great. So he's talking about basketball or music. I said, he's like, can I pick one? I was like, no, do both. If you like both, go ahead. That's awesome. That just shows that you have several interests and you're excelling in them and you're continuing that passion. My biggest thing from all of this, the timeline, is the campus tours. How many of you actually visited the school, like that you would love to attend? Yeah? Where did you go? High school. Sorry, I meant the college. Yeah, college school, the college institutions. Have you been to any of them? None? Well, it's okay, it's early. But please try to go between maybe freshman and sophomore year, that summer maybe, so at least you have an idea, and with the parent too, like have an idea how far is it going to be, how do they feel on campus, do they feel welcomed, how is the weather like, you know, is that going to be something of interest, and then my biggest thing is the major. That will determine where they're going to go to school. So we'll talk more about that, but just keep that in mind as you're helping them understand their passion and how that will determine where they go for school. So part of the high school curriculum, right, any high school has this, by the way, you have something called A through G requirements. Has anyone heard of those? Okay, great. A through G is just a list of subjects that a student has to take in high school. English, science, math, language of some sort, right? History. They say for you to be a high school graduate, to completely just be eligible to graduate, these are the classes that you have to take. But that doesn't mean you would be eligible for admission into the UCs or the Cal States or the Ivy Leagues or all that good stuff. They would want to see a lot more than just the basic requirements. So if I have a student who says, hey Sandy, I just want to do 3 years of math, and I'm probably going to go to UCLA, I'll say, nope, you're not going to go to UCLA. Definitely not. You know why? It's just because that's just the basic 3 years. And it's not even honors or AP, just 3 years. So think that through. When you do look at the academic plan, when you are working with your counselor those 4 years, the first year you say, we want to exceed all expectations. We want to do all the APs that we can possibly take if the student is academically a great student and they perform well anyway. And then, of course, the amount of years makes a huge difference. So if it's just 3 years, I would do 4 years of math. If it's 2 years of history, I would do 4 years of history if you can. If you don't like history, stay away from that. Find something that you truly like. I know there's a lot of students that take AP Psych. That's an elective sometimes. So look into your A through G requirements at your school. So not every school has the same subject that they offer. So that will be another thing that will determine if you want to go to this high school or not. Have I lost anyone yet? Okay, I'm almost done. We have about another 20 minutes or so. This is just for you to know the different pathways when it comes to after high school, what are your options? If you can keep it a little quiet for me, I'm almost there. Okay. When it comes to the different pathways, we have the traditional pathway from someone leaving high school going into college, right? Any college, it could be a public or a private. Then you have someone who's taking the CHESP exam in high school and then goes into only a community college. That's the only option they have. And then you have those who go straight from high school to a community college. Then they have to be there for 2 years, and then they transfer out for into a 4-year for 2 years. It's the same end goal. You still get your bachelor's degree from a 4-year. It just goes back to how you get there. So a lot of folks ask about the CHESP. How many of you actually are considering the CHESP? So I don't have to talk a lot about it. Okay, great. I'm with you on that one. I don't like it either, so we're good on that one. But if you have questions on it, please let's talk. We just find a lot of more folks interested in it for several reasons. Okay. All right. So like I was telling you before, the emphasis now is going to be on their qualitative components of the application. The personal statement will be important, so what they write about. And then their list of activities. Those two things are going to be heavily reviewed. Okay, so we'll talk more about right now the Cal States and the UCs and the community colleges just to give you an overview of what they are. But I don't want to go into much detail because I know it's a bit early for all of you. But in California, we have different types of systems. You have a private system and you have a public system of education. Under the private umbrella, you have your Ivy Leagues like USC. Sorry, USC is not Ivy League. USC is private, but it's not Ivy League. We have Yale or Stanford or Harvard or Columbia. Those are our Ivy Leagues. They're under the private umbrella. People like USC are also private, but they're not Ivy Leagues. They're just considered private, like Mount St. Mary's, Loma Linda, LMU. Those are private as well, but they're not going to be Ivy Leagues. And then you have your public, right? Under the public, we have what? The UCs. What other ones? Cal States, another one. The JCs or the community colleges, right? So 3 different publics that we have, right? So with the CSUs, we have 23 campuses. They're everywhere. If you see the map, they're spread out. Your closest one here will be Cal State Fullerton, and that's where I went. Yeah, you went too? Yes. Titans reach higher. Yes. Awesome. Freaking love Fullerton. I love it. I love it, love it. Even though I went to USC myself, I still love Fullerton. So, sorry guys. Trojans, no. Okay. Yes, Titans, yes. The UCs, we have 9 of them. See, they're also kind of spread out, but there's less of them. And the closest one, obviously, is UCI. Okay? Anybody want to go to UCI? Yeah, of course, all of you want to go. Yeah? Okay, good. I have a story about UCI. I'll save that, but we'll see. Maybe we have time. Okay, so between your private and the public, that's the biggest question I get. And to be very frank with you, if I had a daughter or a son today, I would say you choose, because they all give you the same thing. They all give you this little paper that says you have a diploma. And that diploma doesn't give you anything. It doesn't do anything unless you have a nice resume to back that up, to get that job that you want, to get into the grad school that you want. So please know the name of the institution matters to a certain extent, and it matters based on your major. We'll talk more about that. But when it comes to the differences, biggest difference obviously is tuition. The privates are a bit higher. The UCs, we'll talk about the cost later, but the highest tuition for the privates, what happened? Oh no, it's not showing up here, so I guess I have to see. Yeah. I don't know if it worked. No, okay. Okay. So the biggest difference I was telling you about the cost, the highest tuition I've seen is $75,000, and that was USC per year. Then you have the different types of funding. Obviously, publics, they get most of their fundings from the government versus privates. It's all based on their own money, their donors or sponsors. It comes from them. Looking at major options, yes, you'll tend to have a lot more major options at the public, a lot more major options. The privates have less majors, yes, but doesn't mean they're not great. There's less of them. Then there's the campus size. It's huge. So you have something like USC. It's pretty same size as Cal State Fullerton, almost the same size. But then you go to UCLA, it's huge. It's huge compared to Fullerton or USC. So you see how there's so many different types. You're looking at a public that could be bigger than a private. You can have the complete opposite. So just depending on the school, of course. And then one more big difference would be the curriculum, the professors, the teachers, the size of the school, the size of the class. This could be a typical UC class of 120 of you, maybe more, versus Cal State, they might have 35 to 40. So just depending on the experience that you also want to gain. The curriculum is a bit different too. You're looking at curriculum that's heavy on research versus curriculum that's heavy on hands-on work, a lot more of internships, a lot more project management. Okay, so we talked about the Cal States, talked about the UCs, now we have the community colleges. Another pathway, a different option, nothing bad, nothing less than, it's just a different option. Yeah? You have a question? Sorry, I can't hear you again. What was that? You're good? Okay, okay. Okay. Let's get this one. Okay. Financial aid, just so to give you an idea of the costs and the price tag. So as I said, the privates are the highest. The USC is considered the highest here at least. So it can go up to $75,000, but that's per year, right? The lowest could be 22. Some of those smaller private schools, like Concordia, I believe, might have that lower tuition, maybe even Mount St. Mary's. And then you have the UCs, roughly around 15,000. That's just tuition, not including housing. And then you have CSUs around 7,000 or so. And your community colleges around 1,200 to 1,300, depending on the units that you're in. So that first row is really what you have to worry about, is the tuition and fees only. Everything else is really based on you and your budget and where you're going. If you know for a fact you're going to live on campus, then you definitely need to consider housing at least another $15,000. If you're looking into living with your parents, then you might have to commute. So what does that gas look like? Do you need a car? And other expenses like books. If you are going to be renting your books, it might be cheaper than buying them new. I use this this platform called slugbooks.com. I liked it, I used it in undergrad, and helped me get me the best rate for that book across all platforms. So it's called slugbooks.com. I've used it, and I have never spent more than $200 on a book. So definitely think about that. Okay, when it comes to the cost of attendance, everything that you just saw on that board previously, the money, it can technically be all paid by the government. You don't have to pay for it. Obviously, there are certain circumstances that will give you that. So when it comes to paying for college, you do have, if you're considered a low-income student, and first gen, it always helps. Do you guys know what first gen is? Okay, so first gen, if your parents did not go to school in the US, let's say they have their bachelor's degree in Egypt, and you are the first person in the family to go to school in the US, you are considered a first-gen student. That goes also for your sibling. So if me and my brother is 5 years difference between us, but he's considered also a first-gen, I'm a first-gen. Keep that in mind. First-gen gives you it opens doors, because then you have access to scholarships that only give scholarships to first-gen students, sometimes first-gen and low-income. So that balance is always nice. So back to the different ways to pay for college. Yeah? No. So one of you got the degree here? Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. No. Yes. Yeah. And do you know why they say that? Because if a student is not first gen, That means they had someone in their family supporting them through this process. They know exactly what it takes to get through the college application. So they're not first gen. That's why. That's all. So back to like how to pay for college. You as a student have the option for your parents to pay for all of it if you're not considered low income. But if you are not low income and you're high performing, you can get all of it paid by a scholarship. The scholarship, I was on the committees and they gave full rides. Like, you don't have to pay a penny, but you have to be high performing. That's the only catch. So please, if it's early, you have no excuse. You're starting as a freshman in 2-3 years, do yourself a favor. If you know your parents are rich and they have money, you're not gonna get FAFSA. I'm just gonna be very honest with you. Then you have to apply for scholarships that will give you a full ride. USC has one, they have like at least 3 of them that will give you a full ride. You just have to look for them. So now that's a circumstance if your parents make enough money, you still apply for FAFSA, by the way. Definitely still apply, just because you never know how much they'll give you. They base it off of household size and your income. Yeah.
Who's going to decide this study is a low income? Okay, when I was told that to my son, who's the one who decided the college office?
FAFSA, the application, yeah. I can't really, there's not a, a cutoff, but just know, yeah, there's no cutoff. Just know that FAFSA will still take your application and consider all those numbers. I had a student who had a family of 5, and they made about 150, but they still got a scholarship through FAFSA. So it's called the middle class scholarship. So FAFSA still will give you something. Just please submit it though. Here's the thing though, as a rich parent, you're gonna do the FAFSA, you're gonna do scholarships, and you might do like external scholarships, like outside of the school, like ones that like Bill Gates, for example, or Questbridge, or Coca-Cola, or the Jack Cook. Those are all third-party scholarships. Yes, and then yes.
Is there somewhere where you can find where all those different scholarships are?
We have them. We have the publication, yeah. We made a list for all of them, really. It's connected to an Excel sheet, and then they could do their own research on there. So please reach out, or register and you'll have it. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, great question. So the first one, GPA. What's that looking like for a high-performing student? Right now, for the UCs, it's safe to say anything above a 3.8, maybe even more, because I just met someone that had a 4.7. 3.8. Yeah, that's really low. I'm just giving you like the very minimum. The Cal States around the same, honestly. They're getting very competitive. And when you're looking at scholarships, just also for your information, most of the scholarships will tell you what GPA they're looking for. They'll say, we need you to be at a 3 point whatever, or a 4 point something, or just make sure you're a California resident and you're at a 3.7 and I don't know, like you're from this high school. So there's specific criteria for every scholarship. That's why you also want to do your research in advance, that way you know what to look forward to. Yeah. The APs give you an added bonus point, and they can give you college credit, too. Okay, so we talked about the situation if your parents are well off, then you have scholarships in FAFSA and external scholarships, right? Then if you are not in that and your parents can still, if you're considered low income, then go ahead and apply for FAFSA. FAFSA will cover almost 90% of it if you're low income. And any scholarships from the school, they'll sometimes give you more based on your need. Yeah. 100%. Yes. So the way they do it is they base it off the school that you're going to, cost of attendance. For example, if I'm going to UCI and my parents are low income, I'm first gen, so I qualify for FAFSA, I can get up to 90% of it paid, which is about $13,000 or more, right? But if I go to Cal State, if I apply for Cal State, I'll still get that same percentage covered, which is 90%. So then over there, I'll probably get around $6,500. Right. Yeah. So when you...
The FAFSA is the same, and with UC maybe
It could cover both. It just depends on the income and the need and the percentage that they'll give you. It's called EFC, Estimated Family Contribution. So pretty much, you apply for FAFSA, you tell them, hey, here are the schools that we will be attending or want to go to. Once you apply for FAFSA, they give each school the FAFSA application, and then every school will take it and evaluate what they want to give you. They'll give you grants, they'll give you scholarships, they'll give you loans, and something called work study. So FAFSA, under that umbrella, you get options, these 4 options. And this is why I say apply for FAFSA, because you never know if you qualify for any of these. Obviously, you would qualify for loans. Take them if your parents can't afford to pay whatever they have left. So when it comes to grants, Abba, I'm going to ask you, how many of these are free? You don't have to pay back. Yes. Anything else you have to pay back? Great, awesome. Yes, so the loans are the only source of income that you have to pay back. The rest you can take and never give back. Work study, you probably don't know what it is, but it's money that the school will give you through FAFSA. Say, we need you to go find a job on campus. When you get that job, you'll be getting paid through that work study. That's simple. They like to do that, so they expose you to positions on campus, and they encourage you by getting you paid. And then the rest of these, of course, you don't have to pay back. All right, so I'm going to stop here. Any questions on FAFSA? Also, I forgot to mention, you apply for FAFSA the last year of high school, that October, and it's open until March, but please apply as early as October 1st, just because it's like a pot of gold. Think about it that way. The sooner you go to this pot of gold, the more money you're going to get. That's how they work. The applications they get is first come, first serve. So October is the day that it opens up. Your taxes and all that good stuff is, we can come back and talk more about that, but you use your taxes from 2 years prior to that year that you're applying for. So this year, for the seniors, if you guys know of any seniors, they already should have applied for FAFSA, but they would be applying for the 2023-2024 academic school year, and they use 2021 taxes. So just for your information. So that's the conclusion of FAFSA. I wanted to tell you more about, yeah, I have 2 questions. Go ahead. Oh, sorry, College Fund. Yes. So College Fund will impact FAFSA because they will take that in consideration with your Social Security if it's connected with that. It does, yeah, they'll take it as a source of income, like almost like a scholarship. No, it doesn't. Because scholarships typically are not based on need. Some of them will not be based on need. They'll say, oh, just based on your merit, awesome. We have our own, so CF, we have something called Merit Achievement Scholarship, and it's for 2 different populations, those who are going straight from high school to college, and then those going from community college to high school. We will be launching it in April coming up, and the application will be due May 31st. So that we give about 1,000, and it is merit-based, and we look at your resume, your extracurricular activities. We have 2 personal statements. Heavily emphasize the GPA, though. Like, that's the biggest component of their scoring. Okay, I think I had a question here. Gina? Yeah. No? Cool. Okay. So this thing I like, we wanted to kind of give you like a homework assignment because I know we tell you a lot, and I'm sure a lot of the middle school students are like overwhelmed at this point, like, what is she doing here? Like, okay, can I just leave? I understand, totally fine. But 2 things actually, I'll give you assignments, 2 things to do, whether you do it with your parent or you just do it alone. Come up with an organized list of all the things that you're doing outside of the classroom. Obviously, your middle school stuff won't count in high school, so that's okay, but at least have the habit of making the list in middle school so you can prepare yourself for high school. Now, what does that list look like? You know, you're going to be like, Sandy, I'm just going to write this stuff. No, you're going to also have, let's take an example. I'm doing the debate team, okay? So the debate team, I started as a freshman Okay, so like now I know I started as a grade, the grade level. How many weeks am I dedicating for this activity? What is my description? What is my role? And do I want to do this for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade? So create a plan as far as like each activity that you would want to do and have like almost like a resume going on. Another assignment, which is not on here, will be to take your favorite person and go to the college. That's it. Go to the college, visit it. Look to see if this is realistic, because you know how many students apply for the college and then they come and say, Sandy, I'm not going there. Then why did you apply? So please go and see if this is realistic, because there's so many of them. I'll tell you a very small example and then we'll end. Yeah. So as you know, I went to Fullerton, but going through the process and understanding the college admission process was overwhelming for me. I had just come from Egypt as a freshman in high school. So I didn't know a lot about the college process. I relied heavily on my counselor because my parents didn't know. So then came senior year, and I was like, well, guess I'm going to college. No one asked me, by the way. My parents weren't like assuming I would go, but they didn't understand what that looked like. Oh, because I'm the oldest, so they know that I'll figure it out, right? So then I went and I took my first SAT exam at UCI. That was my first exposure to college. And I was like, wow, this is huge. Like, I'm going to be here, going here? Like, it's a lot. So I was like, okay, fine, that's college here. And then I went to Welcome Week at Fullerton. It was just because I think I was in the area. And it was, they had like orientation happening already for their new students. So I checked it out. I was like, wow, this is a smaller campus, yet there's such a lot of support, a lot of attention on the students and their success. Like, I do feel myself here. This is for Sandy. So I turned to my dad. I remember I said, guess what? I'm not going to UCI. I'm going to Fullerton because I like Fullerton. And he was obviously not happy because UCI is like the Harvard of Irvine. And so, yeah, that gives you an example of just going to the school really makes it a huge difference, especially if it's like your dream school. You've always dreamt of it, but yet you've never been. Harvard is one of them, actually. You'd be surprised how many people probably wouldn't go to Harvard if they actually go to the campus, just because of the weather. If you don't like the snow, it's probably not a good idea. Anyway, that's just a little example of why it's important to go to these colleges. Thank you so much for being here and for being present. I know it's a lot. But we do have our evaluation link. If you can please scan it, it'll help give us feedback on what we could do better, or we can add more topics or whatnot. We do come twice a year. So next time I come will be for the fall, and we do college admission approach. We help with high school students and how to apply for the colleges and the requirements. I didn't even go over all that today. And then, of course, we help with the FAFSA application and our scholarships. All right. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes, we do. So we do one-on-one counseling as well, because we do see a lot of parents now. We love what you do, but we need more. We need that individualized attention. So we've been working a lot, actually. Very blessed, Yanni. And I love this part of the job because I get to have that rapport, and I get to see them all until they get accepted. So it's nice to have that. But we do that. So let's say today you had the workshop and you say, hey, Sandy, we still want to meet with you to go over some questions or create some type of academic plan. We could do that. And it would be based off of your agreement with the professor. The agreement with us and the student, how often you want to meet. We could do it monthly. We could do it every 2 months, whatever you like, as long as there's consistency and there's an academic plan. What I like doing at the end of each session is giving them a homework assignment for the next, and for the next, and for the next, until we are at a good spot. So feel free to reach out to me. I have my business cards at the end. I can give you my info. We can start creating these sessions. And then, of course, they are paid after a certain, like, we do a consultation almost, like a first hour. We go over what the needs are for the student, what can we provide, and then we come up with an agreement plan, and then from there on, we do our sessions at $150 an hour after that. So keep that in mind if that's something of interest. Okay, well, thank you again. I do want to pitch that I work at Pepperdine, and obviously ZF, but I've had other positions at other institutions, so I do have a network if you feel like you have questions about other institutions. Obviously, USC was one of them. So please reach out. Thank you.